What's up, everybody? It's your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog, coming to you today, bringing you some good stuff. I know many of you are nervous because of the pandemic, but guess what? Companies are still hiring, people are still thriving, and there's a surge on people buying homes. So I want you to be able to get into the jet stream of the job of your dreams. Because everybody watching this channel is not going to start a business. Some people may just want to make more income and invest that income wisely. So today, I brought on you Miss Nicole of SNS Consulting. But I'm going to let her introduce herself because this young lady is a veteran. She lives
Yes.
near Atlanta. Because, see, I can't say everybody lives near Atlanta, because we don't
Please
really
don't.
live in Atlanta. So, ma'am,
Be-
please introduce yourself for the audience.
Yeah, please don't say I live in Atlanta because people get offended with that. You live outside the perimeter and you don't live in Atlanta. But I am Stefana Nicole, the millennial decoder, and I help companies decode generational language barriers in the workforce. I also help people with their careers, strategizing, because like you said, and what I've always appreciated about you, Erica, is not everybody wants to be or can be an entrepreneur. So if you can't be an entrepreneur, you should at least enjoy your job and love what you do. And there are a lot of perks with working, not just, the saying that, oh, you don't have freedom, you don't have time or the money. That's not true. So
Not true.
we're going to debunk all those myths today.
Listen, and the thing of it is I have friends for the past 4 years. They've been at home more than I have. They've been on more vacations than I ever have. They have amazing jobs. And, I had a friend who had 5 months of maternity leave. She worked for one of the biggest construction companies here in Texas.
Yeah.
And so I want people to understand that, like, I'm gonna be careful, but sometimes I feel like people are bashing jobs because they don't have access to the type of jobs they want.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Oh, jobs
Yes.
are bad. Jobs are slavery. And it's like, ask that to the guy making 180,000 a year. He's okay with driving to work right now in the pandemic.
Right. Those just over broke. I love it when people
Yeah.
say, "Oh, just over broke," and that's not
Yeah.
the case at all.
That's just you.
Because, because everything is negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
Just your offer letter, where you bring it to the table, everything is negotiable. So no, you don't have to worry about not making enough money if you have the skill set and if you know how to present yourself well enough, you'll be able to get the job that pays well.
Yeah, for sure. And listen, y'all, I'm hiring in the pandemic. Other people I know are hiring in the pandemic. Money is still going to circulate.
Yes.
Some things go slower, some things go faster, but that's just a part of any recession. There are a lot of companies who are going to become multimillionaires. Apple became Apple in the last recession. Tesla became Tesla in the last recession. So thank you, Demetrius Flag, for the $5 super chat.
Whoop,
So,
whoop.
of course,
And
I'll
with
see you
everybody
Monday.
that's unemployed, I was very surprised because everybody is an entrepreneur. So I was very surprised that there was so many people that are unemployed now because I could have sworn
2
everybody
months
was an
ago.
entrepreneur. But also, who are these entrepreneurs going to hire? They have to hire somebody. So it
Right.
might as well be you at the end of the day. So
Right.
don't sweat it.
And here's the thing. This is what I have to tell people. This whole one-man show entrepreneurship, we know that don't work.
It
We know that don't work. And now, just being honest, I have some people work on my staff that make 17 an hour. Some
don't.
make 5 grand a month. Some make 6 grand a month. There's different levels. Everybody's not out here hiring people for $12 an hour. You know what I'm saying? So
Correct. They're
there's
not.
different values you can give to companies. And that's part of why I brought you on. So millennial decoder, break that down for us.
So, as a millennial, we're always put in this box,
Yes.
millennials, that we're very young or, we're naive or we don't
Irrational.
know. Oh, yeah, we
We
have
broke
changed
y'all.
up we have changed up the workforce, we have changed up the economy, so many things. But being a millennial decoder, I'm breaking down the language barriers because we have four different generations working together side by side. Millennials
For real.
somehow seem to all of the get all of the crap at the end of the day. So I'm teaching people how to break those generational language barriers. And being that, I'm a veteran, I'm a single Black woman, and a mother. I know all those things, all those different languages. I've been all across the world. I've deployed. So I've been around different cultures and ethnicities. So I know how to build a relationship with anybody. So that's never a problem, issue with me. And that's probably one of the reasons why I've been so good at my job as far as recruiting people, is because I'm able to speak their language without them having to feel as though they are boxed in some ways.
Listen, and that's part of why I like you. Thank you for your service. You know, my mom served 26 years. You know, I didn't go because she did all my years too. She just,
Yeah.
6 was for me. So, what about the military you think has helped your vision on how you see people, how you interact with people?
Oh, for one, the military has definitely given me thick skin. It's kind of desensitized me in some ways, because what some people will find like
Humor.
sad, you know, some people find sad, or, you know, something that they'll be upset about. I'm just like, okay, you know, just roll off your back. There's things that are way worse. So I actually had to take, when getting out of the military, I had to actually take a sensitivity training, because we're transitioning from, you know, military to civilian. You're like, you know how we talk. So it's like,
Listen, y'all rough.
like, what are you crying for? Like, I literally will be at work and I'm like, why is she crying? Like,
Listen.
I don't get it. So the military has definitely taught me to have thick skin. It's also taught me that, and it's crazy because most corporations, they want to hire military personnel, but they really don't understand us in how we speak, how we operate, and how we would transition into their company. And so I've been able to help a lot of corporations with that notion, as far as how to translate military personnel's, you know, MOSs into the civilian workforce. So it's given me a lot. It's given me a different perspective on how to deal with people in corporate America.
I would say too that a lot of people could use a dose of sensitivity training, because I think we're interacting with people who, you know, we're like, they're a snowflake, and it's like, well, you may have been a little harsh.
Right.
You may have been a little harsh at work.
Yeah. And I've gotten that. Trust me,
Mhm.
I have gotten that. I have gotten, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And sometimes, Stephanie, you got to pull it back a little bit and understand people. So I've gotten a lot better over the years. I don't say what's on my mind. I just listen first and then I'll speak. So I've gotten way better with that. See, y'all see my Erica over here multitasking. She did
That's
all
right.
the time.
You're a millennial. I'm sorry. Listen, and I
Okay,
bet,
she is a millennial right there.
like, huh? What? Huh? Well, and part of that too is being a millennial and also having staff that is multi-age. So I have people on staff that are 60, I think he's 61, and I have people on staff who are like 23. Mm-hmm. And so the interactions can be quite interesting over here.
Oh, they're different.
They're different. And so I told y'all tell us things about, you've heard about millennials below. Okay. So I'm gonna click on some of them. Now, thank you, Natural Wildflower or Wildflower Natural. I have an interview tomorrow. I got my current job in the pandemic, and I just did my paperwork for my second job today. Congratulations.
I know that's right.
Salutes. All right, so here's some of the stuff you guys have heard about millennials, and we post from here. Millennials are unfairly stereotyped as lazy, and we stuck in our phones. I will say that. Millennials job hop, lazy and entitled. We don't take direction well. Mm-hmm. Don't blame it on the 80s babies. We didn't do that. Millennials are bad listeners, can't follow or won't follow instructions. Now, I will say this. Gen Z is struggling with some instructions too. I work with some kids, okay? Mm-hmm. We get some instructions and we're like, what happened? Okay? Or we want promotions without putting in the time. Honey, that's a whole other story. Everybody want to make 50 to 100K a year, and you're like, but you don't even know how to type in Excel.
I don't think that's millennials, though. I don't think those are millennials. I don't think that's us.
Listen, all I'm gonna say is, when I'm on Facebook watching these parents struggle with Zoom, how you a millennial and you got a 5-year-old, you don't know how to work Zoom? That's all I'm trying to say. What is millennial?
As far, yeah, some things is technical, you know. Some things is technical, that's beyond our control. But as far as the job hopping, so I get that a lot. And I also have to talk with my hiring managers when they say, oh, this person is a job hopper. Well, let's debunk this. I would be considered a job hopper because I've never stayed in any form of employment longer than 3 years outside of the military. And that's because I was on a contract. I had to be there.
Or they would take you to jail.
Yes. I would go to
Oh, you
jail.
left?
So
Oh, you
totally
left, Mom?
different.
We're gonna come back and get you.
Right. We gonna find you one way or another. But we have to understand that millennials have changed the game when it comes to corporate America because we understand our worth. And our parents, the people that raised us, did not know that. They thought that if you got into a job, you had to stay there for 20, 30 years because you had to get that pension, you had to get those good old benefits. And millennials, we understood that that might necessarily be the case. Those pensions and the Social Security that they say that we're going to have may not be there, for one. Two, we decided that we didn't want to be like our parents and be unfulfilled and be at a job that we typically hated, or that we're at a job where for 50, 60 hours a week and we never had any time with our families. So we decided that we were going to change that. And with that being said, that's why we got the education. That's why we got the certification. That's why we got the skills, so we can carve our own way. So if I'm here at one place, one of the things as a recruiter, I'm always being recruited because they'll see my background, they see what I bring to the table, and then they want me to come there. So with that being said, if I'm given an opportunity where I'm giving a little bit more freedom, I'm getting more money, and everything that lines up what I'm looking for, why would that go? It just doesn't make any sense. Why would you stay? Because there is no such thing as loyalty, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're working in corporate America. No one is loyal because if you're an entrepreneur and people are buying your products, if they find something else they like better, you just lost a customer. And that's the same way with corporations. If they find someone better, they're going to replace you. So if that's the sense, why wouldn't you go somewhere else? So let's stop with the job. I'm a hop wherever there's more money. That's where I'm gonna go.
Well, even the job hopping for me, what I've learned out of a lot of people with the job hop, you make your raises when you leave. Even someone said in the comments, it's like, yeah, you do. You like everybody, even here in tech in Austin. This one guy got a promotion, went from Austin to Raleigh, North Carolina, or Research Triangle, then got another promotion, came right back to Austin. So in order to get the money, he was hopping like
exactly.
That was a hop. He had to.
That's part of the game because sometimes you have to leave one corporation to get the money that you see. Because what corporations do, they have the money, they're just not going to say it, and they're not going to give it to you. So you're like, okay, well, I'll go somewhere else. And then when you go somewhere else and you get more money, and you even get a title that goes along with it, then they'll come back and they're like, okay, well, let's recircle this. It really just depends on how you leave. If you give notice, if you talk to your leaders there, you always have a door to come back to. It's just how you leave. Some people just be like, deuces and I'm out. That's not the best way to go about it. But it really just depends on how you leave.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've had drivers give me a heads up and I'd be like, I take that guy back. He's a pretty good driver. like in the fall, if I need one, I'll take him. Right. Same thing with, I would say as an employer, I'm gonna give bonuses, but I'm gonna wait till the dead last end of the year. I'm gonna be like, you ever seen Christmas Story? I'm gonna be like,
December Erica's gonna make y'all work for that bonus. Erica's
I was like, was you quitting? No, you won't. Here's your bonus. Have a great day. I love this. Robert said, I need sensitivity training too. I have a hard time respecting anybody that has a participation trophy on their shelf.
Man, I tell you.
Listen, did you see the article about people's moms coming to job interviews with them?
I get that all the time.
Honey.
I get that all the time. I had a job fair last week, and I had one woman hold the place in line for her son because she said he was on the way. I said, okay, honey. Do what you gotta do. You said he gonna get this job today because he gotta get out of my house. I didn't say no problem. I just said sit over there 6 feet apart until he comes. That's all I can do. I respect it. I see it all the time. All the time.
Yeah. And there's as many comments I can do, but I'm gonna be professional. Okay, so there you go. Write an art of becoming. Well, and you also have to think too, I think some people, when your dad here, she said her dad values longevity, it's a stability factor. Your parents want you to be safe and sound. That's the number one thing. If your daughter or son had a chance to be rich for something risky or safe and sound, your parents are going to choose safe and sound every day. They're going to be like, sit down somewhere, right? And so this is just part of the game. Now, this whole pandemic thing, what I've learned is people don't even know what LinkedIn is, girl. What do we have to do to get a generation of people to get into the actual where the money, like if I tell you there's a website where if you show up, people are looking for you, you don't have to look for people. Why isn't people on top of that LinkedIn website? Why are they on Facebook like that?
Well, for one, not everybody knows how to use LinkedIn, which is sad, but no worries. I'm here to help you. Two, I think it also has to do with now we are in an employer's market. So depending on your field and specialty. For instance, if you're a data scientist, it's still your market. You can choose.
It's your market, baby.
It's your market. And I tell Cam this all the time. You can write your own check where you want to go.
You're like, I'd like 50,000 standing in the street. Someone's like, okay.
Right. Depending on your field and specialty, it's an employer's market. So now that people have to actually go and look for themselves, they don't necessarily know how to navigate it. They've always heard of LinkedIn. They've known of it. They might even set up a profile, but they've never actually dug into the depths of LinkedIn. And now they realize in order to get those jobs that pay really well, this is the site that you need to be on, which is LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. So setting up a profile isn't hard. Navigating through it is a different thing. And you have to understand, just like you have a brand with your company, you have a professional brand. And you have to present yourself as a subject matter expert in your field. And you have to present it in a light to where only you can do what you do. And so that's what your LinkedIn profile needs to reflect.
Okay, I was going to share my screen for 2 seconds so we can all see what we were talking about here, which is LinkedIn. Just for a little bit, just for a second. Hold on a second. Now, Stephanie, in this time, and in the link, you guys, I put Stephanie's information for people who want to get a consult call with her, need help with your applications. We put all that in the description. I'll share it more in the comment section. But I'm just showing you right here. This is just my LinkedIn. Just as this just is the same kind of setup as Facebook, honestly, but different, right? Today's news and views. Do you really need a cover letter? 42,000 people reading that. So people are like, what? Now, I'm going to tell you right now, when I used online services to try to find Indeed.com, try to find people, I would say use a cover letter and people wouldn't. So I already knew you weren't reading. You was just spamming. You know? That makes sense?
Okay. So
tell me your thoughts on cover letters.
Okay, so I have the YouTube series that I'm currently doing is What Recruiters Won't Tell You. And essentially I'm just going over the basic things of what recruiters wish they can tell you, but they really can't. So let me tell you about cover letters, which that video is going to drop tomorrow. But Classic Climb, y'all got this now. Do cover letters matter? It depends. Erica wants cover letters.
The lady I use to hire people, she be like, where the cover letter?
So let me break down.
She's a boomer.
And so and that's one of the reasons why. But let me break down why is to someone like Erica would want a cover letter versus when I'm looking at your application, why I would want one. Erica is a small business, but she is looking specifically for something. So she is asking you to submit a cover letter because she is looking for something very specific and niche that will pertain to her company. Versus someone like me, and she has you have about 3-4 positions open, 1 or 2.
Girl, I'm gonna say 3 still.
So she has a small number of positions open, so she can be very specific on what it is that she's looking for and that she needs. I have about 70 plus positions open, so I don't have time nor the bandwidth to read your cover letter. I just don't have it because I can post a position. I posted a position yesterday, and by the time I logged off my computer, I had 110 applicants. There is no way that I can go through each resume and cover letter. I just don't have the time. So if the job description says submit a cover letter, then you submit a cover letter. Other than that, we're not reading cover letters. And that's just to be honest. We just have so many applicants. With COVID, everybody's applying. You're right. People are spamming.
Well, I would say, are they reading? what is being required. To me, that's the
Yeah.
number one thing. Like, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to make somebody do a bunch of assessments and a bunch of tests. I'm just going to see, did you read the basics of, you know, cover it? Like, that's like, if that's inside this description, that means you didn't even read the basic.
Exactly. And
Okay.
that's a way to eliminate
There you
people.
go.
And that is a fair way to eliminate people. If you can't do the basic things that I'm asking, then there's no need for me to move forward with you because you couldn't do the basic things like submit a cover letter. And if you are that much in a hurry and you're just applying for any and everything, that means you're desperate. And I don't want anybody that's just that desperate. That's just
Well,
going to
because,
apply for any and everything and whatever sticks, it sticks.
well,
That makes
even
no
the
sense.
people that are moving here,
Mm-hmm.
I'm even more worried of, right? If you're coming from California making 80K a year, and I've got a job offering 60K a year as an accountant, in-house accountant, and you're like, yeah, I'll take it. No, you're not gonna really stay. You're gonna
No.
get here, and you're gonna be like, I gotta go make my other 20K back, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because even if you move to a lower cost of living state, you're
Mm-hmm.
still gonna be like, Eric, I still want my 80K. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you guys got a lot of comments over here. I thank y'all for the comments.
Oh, they got questions.
They got questions and comments. We're getting into them. Hold on. In my last 3 courses of my master's in applied behavior analyst, any LinkedIn tips for a mom re-entering the workplace after 5 years and caring for my special needs child? She's in the last 3 courses of her master's.
Okay, so
What should she
she's
do? Thank you for the super chat.
so she's re-entering the workforce. Okay, so one thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be honest about why there's gaps. It's easier to, believe it or not, that's a way easier gap to explain versus someone that has just been out of work. So anytime you've been in school, you're a mom, you've been taking care of your children, even dads, if you've been taking care of a loved one that is sick, that's just an easy way to explain it. So what you're going to do is any volunteer work that you're going to be doing, you need to put that on your resume, and you need to actually do what have you done within that meantime as far as the time that you were out. So did you pick up outside of school? Did you pick up any other new skills? Did you work on any projects? Did you volunteer anywhere? Those are things that you can put in place of that. But being honest and just letting them know that you were out of work because you were taking care of your children at that time is an easy way to explain it. No one's going to question you, because if they do, that's an EEOC complaint and you can file a case against them for discrimination.
So when you're in a job, to me that seems to be a very, I've had people ask me, do I have a child? And I'm, so what are the top 5 questions they're not supposed to ask at all?
Oh, listen, I need everybody to get a pen and piece of paper and write these down.
Because I feel like they do it every day. They breaking the rule every day.
Anytime employers ask certain questions that go against I forgot what the act is called. It's on the tip of my tongue and I can't remember it. If they ask certain questions that will go against discrimination, please write down the company, write down the person that you interviewed with, write down the day, the time, write it all down. And then you go down to your local EEOC department and you file a complaint and a lawsuit against them and sue them, because there are certain questions you can't ask. So for instance, I had you cannot ask anything that has anything to do with, so for instance, she says that she has a special needs child. You're telling them that you have a child and that's why you're out of work. If they ask you, well, how many kids do you have? You can't ask that question. Mm-hmm. If they ask you, well, because you have kids, is this going to affect your work schedule? You cannot ask that question. I had a hiring manager that asked an applicant, well, can you pass a drug test? You cannot ask that question.
Girl, I can't ask that.
No, ma'am. You cannot ask. No, ma'am. You can't.
What about trying to hit at it?
You can't ask them if
they're. Negro is pee hot.
You cannot ask them if they're going to pass a drug test.
I'm going to say, would you like to take your drug test this week or next week? Is that possible?
No, you can't. You can ask them, are you willing to submit to a drug test? If they say no, then you can deny them, because part of your hiring requirements is that they take a drug test.
Really?
So
I can say next week or next week.
No, ma'am, you cannot say
I still want to go through this guy. I was getting ready to go work at this job, and I had 2 traffic tickets. And I don't know how he looked it up and found it, but he found it. He was like, well, someone who's speeding 15 miles over the speed limit. Like, I don't know how this guy had access to the ticket information. He's like, I just don't think that person will be a responsible person. And I was like,
you could sue them.
Oh, to this day, I want to go back to my hometown.
Because I feel like them.
He was looking at me like, he was a black guy, and it was a white girl in the room, and I want to be like, let me tell you something, bro. I'll take you down, sue you. But
you could have sued him, because you can't reveal the details of that. That's not something that you can't reveal the details of someone's background check. The only thing you can say, if it doesn't comply with the rules and regulations and the perimeters that was set up between the manager or the HR team and the legal team. Remember, this has to go through a legal team.
So I could have said at that time, sir, I'm about to sue you. What could I have said during the interview process? If somebody said something off the wall to you in the interview process, do you just say, excuse me, I feel uncomfortable, I'm gonna leave? What are you gonna do?
No, you don't. You don't say, I'm gonna sue you in the middle of it. You don't say that.
I'm asking for the crowd. Okay, I'm asking for the crowd.
So what you would essentially do is you would notate what they said, and what you would do is reiterate what they said, and you would say, well, is what you're asking me this, to clarify that that's what they're saying. If they turn around and repeat it again, and then you close out, if you feel uncomfortable, close out the interview and say, well, I don't think this will probably be a good fit, or you let them know that you feel uncomfortable, because what's going to happen right after that is when they know that you no longer want to move forward, they know they messed up. Mm-hmm. And so what they're going to try to do is get ahead of that. And they're going to go back and let their HR team know, hey, this was the interview. This is what happened. And then that HR team is going to actually reach out to them and try to talk to them about the situation. If they're smart. If they're not, they're going to be like, oh, it's another day. And then when they get that complaint in the mail or they get that phone call, then they'll think twice about it. But just make sure you write down all the notes. Make sure you write down everything that happened, that was said, and the day, time, the job title, all that stuff, and just take it down there. So certain things like that, you can't even ask. So, some places are on the bus line and there's some not. And when you ask about, do you have reliable transportation? You can't ask them, well, are you going to make it to work on time, being that you don't have a car? You can't ask certain questions like that. You can't ask questions.
What if they hit you with, I need to work remote because I don't have a car?
Well, that's where you have to go as far as with your job description. Does your job description say
must have reliable transportation?
Yes. Yes. Does it say you must have reliable transportation? Also, does it say this is not a remote position? If most companies are learning that now, and they're learning to put that this is not a remote job. This is a job that you have to do on site.
I had that at the beginning of COVID. This is not remote.
Yeah. You're going to come into work.
No, we're not. Yeah. Every day we're in here. What are the other questions they can't ask? Because I feel like they can't ask you if you're married, right?
No, they can't ask anything about your sex, your marital status. They can't ask you about anything pertaining to with your age. So, for instance, for all you boomers out there, if you feel like you're being discriminated against because of your age, what questions are they asking you? Are they asking you questions like, in ways they're trying to get around, do you know how to use certain technology? So in the job description, if it says that you need to know how to use certain systems, and they ask you about that, if they make in reference to, well, this system came out at a later time, after you've been out of college or after you've been out of work, do you know how to use it? If they hint in any way about it, as far as when it comes to your age, you can't hint on anything when it comes to your age. The only thing that you can ask about age is, are you at least 18 years or older? That's it. Because you have to be 18 years older to work at certain companies. Certain companies do allow you to start work at 16 with parental consent. But the only thing that someone can ask you about your age is if 18 years or older. They talk about, well, can you see the fine print? People said that. Can you see? Do you actually know how to use it? Then that you can't ask questions like that. That's just not something you can ask.
So I feel like the trucking industry is breaking all the laws because they will literally ask on the phone, is your driver married? How old is he? How many kids he got? When they put him on the insurance, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, I don't know that.
It's a different industry because of the insurance liabilities that come with it. So certain industries, yeah, you're fine in that instance as far as when it comes to, well, you can't sit up here and say that you're not going to hire someone because they're not of a certain age. You can't say that. Now, what you do behind the
insurance company can't approve you because
yes, but you can't say you were no, don't say that.
I'm just telling you what the insurance company said.
No, you don't say that because you don't have to reveal that information. You can just say, unfortunately, due to insurance liabilities, I'm not able to bring you on. Don't say I can't bring you on.
Write that up and put in emails.
Right. You can't sit there and say I can't hire you because you're not 28 or older. You can't say that. You can say is that I'm not able to move forward with you because of insurance liabilities. That's it. Leave the age out of it.
Okay.
Lord, Erica over here breaking all kind of laws.
Listen, my friends, I have two different people that do our HR stuff because they'd be like, Erica, oh my God.
Erica, I'm for sure they say you are a walking HR nightmare. They're like, Erica, you cannot say that.
I gave somebody like a off the cuff cover, like offer letter. My friend was like, please tell me you did not send that, Erica. Oh my God. Through the phone, I heard her be like, she couldn't even be professional. She was just like, why? So now I have a team in place that helps me hire people.
Thank God.
Because your girl be like, look, we're building it while we fly, y'all. Let's go.
Erica gonna have all kind of liability issues going on right here.
So sex, age, married, children,
race.
I can ask you. Race. You know what? Let me tell you something, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and confess here. I did not know the race of one of my employees, but I knew his last name was German. So I just kept looking like, can't say nothing. Can't say nothing.
Don't do it.
I was like, what's up, my brother? What's up? 10 bucks? No. Okay. So I just let him put his pictures up on his desk. I was like, okay. No. There we go.
You can't sit up here and
working at a place, and someone asked me what I was because of my hair. My hair was real big when I was like 17. A little longer and bigger. And they were like, so what are you? What are you? And I'm like, what do you mean?
What are you? That's what they asked?
Yeah, because my hair was, I had like the coils that went down the shirt. So it was like nice and long.
Did you say, what do you mean? I would have said
that. I was like, huh? You mean where I'm from? I'm from North Carolina. Like, I just kept being stupid. Yeah, people have done that.
You can't, just because you see somebody's last name may be Lopez, you can't automatically assume they're Hispanic.
Listen, can I tell you, I've already broke the law. I thought my employees, I didn't ask if they were bilingual. Somebody called here speaking Spanish, and I asked them to come in the office. They're like, I don't speak Spanish. I was like, oh, well.
Got that all wrong, huh?
Well, yeah. I was like, can you go to your parents and ask them what this person said?
No, you can't ask that.
Stephanie's tired of me. She's tired of me.
She would drive me crazy. If Erica, I'd be like, Erica, you are going to get us both a lawsuit. No, ma'am.
Okay, so this one says, does having a small business hinder your opportunities? I'm an accountant, and I haven't been able to find anything, but I'm constantly interviewing.
No, because you're going to separate that. You're not going to include everything. For me, the only reason why my LinkedIn profile has my business information along with my corporate information is because I have like over 11,000 connections, and I'm not about to start over again. But even my clients that I have, I always tell them your LinkedIn profile, your business page, and your corporate or professional page needs to be two separate ones, because what you will post on your small business page isn't what you're going to post on your professional page, because you don't want them to contradict or make the corporations feel as though you may be taking away some business from them, when essentially that's not the case at all. As far as accounting and finances is like huge right now. It's probably how you're interviewing. It's probably who you're interviewing with. You say you're doing a lot of interviews, so I think you really need to hone in and hone down and not interview with lots of different companies. Understand what you're going for, what you're looking for, and move straight from there. Because a lot of people are hiring as far as accounting and finance. That's always going to be a field where you can find a job at. It's just where you want to be at is the question.
They're about to make a ton of money the next 2 years.
Oh yeah.
Especially when the government come and arrest all y'all for lying on y'all.
Because PPP is running out this month, and the layoffs will begin again for certain companies, not everybody.
Well, also too, a little bit of thoughts. Do you think that it's going to be crazy level firings this go around? Because every fall they fire, you know what I'm saying? And in this economy, I think there's still going to be companies hiring because they're going to get people at a discount. I hate to say it that way, but that's the best way I can say it. What's your thoughts?
It's not going to be one of those where it's going to be a heavy firing and a letting go process like it was in the beginning of COVID. It's not going to be that. It's just going to be one of those, we've kept the most people that we could as far as within certain departments, and now that the money that was allotted to keep those employees there is now gone, we have to let them go. Versus you're not letting go their entire staffs or entire departments. They're just letting go of the employees that they were able to retain because of the PPP. But the departments are just going to be running on skeleton crews at this. It's going to be where a department would had 20, 30 people. Now it's only going to have like 10, 15. It's cut in half. So it's not going to be as big. But there are plenty of companies that are still hiring. You have to understand that the stock market isn't doing what it's doing for no reason, and that's because people are still hiring. There's people that there's still
people still working. I mean, they keep saying, Erica, everybody's losing their jobs. I'm like, out of 30 million, we had 150 million people working. So
yeah, not everybody's losing their job. What people are starting to find out is what they thought was a skill isn't a skill, and what they thought was something that they could use as leverage really isn't, because you can get anybody to do it. So that's where you have to be more a specialty. You have to be a subject matter expert in some ways, and learn new skills. As you always say, there's nothing wrong with learning a new skill, and that's just what some people have to do, is just learn a new skill at the end of the day. But no, it's not going to be as bad, nowhere near as bad with what's coming up. You just need to be strategic in what you're doing and what you're looking for.
I mean, honestly, if I could hire, honey, I say 3, but in a real world, if I could hire like 10 people next door and then just cut the ones that ain't making the mustard, I would do that. Right. I feel like Stephanie's gonna be like, Erica, that's not how you should do that. But
you can't again say that. Yeah, you can't say that, Erica.
I want to hire. I want to do a big old. From October to March launch off, and have all this staff, and then people who just don't cut the mustard, I'm gonna just Grant Cardone. I can't say that clearly.
No, you can't say that, but you can say that they aren't on a 90-day performance. You can say that.
Learn something.
But what you are finding, it is true that it's an employer's market, and they are asking you to go above and beyond. I remember I saw one application they're looking for cover letter. They're looking for you to complete a questionnaire. They want you to complete an assessment. They want you to submit all the references that you have, and that's before you even talk to anybody. So it's just like, I'm not doing all that. Like, I don't even talk to you in any way, but you want me to submit all this information, and that's because. And so
wait a minute, you're Borging. Hold on. Pause. Is your internet back? Okay. Tell your daughter to start running all the TVs downstairs.
My daughter get off the but companies are companies understand that people are desperate, so they're slashing salaries, they're requiring a whole lot more of you because they understand that you're willing to take anything because it's an employer's market and you have to be stand your ground.
Hold on one second. Hold on, Stephanie. You're going in and out. Hold on. Yeah, she is. Hold on. I'm just going to read this one and give her computer a second to catch up. Also, make sure you answer your phone. If you're in a job market, recruiters don't have time to play phone tag. This is very true. I played phone tag for like 2 weeks with some employees, and they were leaving me voicemails like, Ms. Williams, sorry I missed your call. I really want to be here. Really want the job. And I'm like, it's been 2 weeks. What's going on? And so I think it's important for you to definitely be answering your phone. And let's see if Miss Stephanie comes back. I think she's going to come back just fine. Make resumes great again. Hey, yeah. How dare you, Muhammad? I'm gonna. I am going to change my. I'm going to get someone to tinker with my LinkedIn this weekend. So this is true, Mr. Shelley. You cannot ask this. Can't ask about religion. This is agreed. Let's play devil's advocate. Most people put the year they graduate high school on their resume. Just told. Yeah, this is true. This is true. They really do. All right. Hello. Did you get all that straight?
Okay. Yeah, I had to get her off the thing. But yes, you are correct. We don't have time. I called someone this morning. They actually schedule, because I have people self-schedule their phone interviews. I don't have time to figure it out. And I called them and they were still in the bed. So, they didn't have time.
So is there anything that would prevent you from passing a drug test? These are the questions. I'm just telling you what's in here.
No. So when it comes to drug tests, every company is different. So they have a certain panel as far as what they're looking for. If you're in any type of machinery, if you're in any type of machinery, some companies don't even, a logistics company, they don't even want you drinking alcohol. So if you were to go test and alcohol shows up in the test, they're not going to move forward with you. So it just depends on the company. Some companies just don't want you to have opiates in your system, but that is all, that comes from the legal department. That has nothing to do with it. So when people say, well, if you take prescriptions, and they're like, well, I take prescriptions. Then you take it when you go to do your drug screening. Then you take that prescription there and let them notate that. So when it comes up, they will know.
I think that's a very smart answer, because there are people on medications for various things, for various reasons. So
yes, they'll ask questions like, when did you graduate high school? No, it has nothing to do with them.
Also, do companies really have affirmative action points, etc., points for race, gender, military?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. So companies go through different types of audits. And you have to have, if you're a company that says that you believe in affirmative action, then guess what? They're going to look for you to have a certain amount of women, a certain amount of, different ethnicities within levels of management. And if they do an audit and you don't pass that, then you can get dinged, your company can get dinged, and you can get fined for that. And that's why you see a lot of companies and so that's why you see a lot of companies do this disability initiative or military initiative, like Amazon. We're going to hire 25,000 vets within the next 5 years. So yes, they do get points for that, and they do get named. And some companies, depending on the type of industry you're in, they can take away some of your funding.
Well, and part of what I've been seeing on applications is, are you a vet, veteran, were you dishonorably discharged? I find that to be very intrusive. How is that legal that they can even ask that?
Well, being dishonorably discharged, if you can compare it to anything, and it's a bad way to compare, but it's just what it is. Say you got in illegal trouble. Why were you dishonorably discharged? What did you do? Did
You punch your
did you take information and try to sell it? Did you try to hurt someone, like domestic violence? Why were you dishonorably discharged? Because believe it or not, you really got to do some jacked up stuff to be dishonorably discharged. It takes a lot.
I've heard some stories of people like straight up drunk in line the next day, and they were like, "Okay, this has been the 5th, 6th time you've been drunk. We got to do something here."
Right. It has to be very dramatic. It has to be drastic in order for you to get dishonorable discharge, because most of the time it's either honorable or general. And if it's honorable or general, then you're fine. Or a medical.
Well, if you're general, they won't hire you in the police force in North Carolina. So I'm just giving it. I just was asking.
And usually the time if you get a general is because you knew somebody that was on the board, that was doing your paperwork, and they was like, all right, listen, I'm just let you slide. But yeah, you had to do a lot to get dishonorably discharged.
This person said, I have a degree from a for-profit university. Should I take that off my resume?
No, if the jobs that you're applying for require that you have a 4-year have a degree in that field, Look, there used to be one of those things where people used to discriminate against people that went to like Strayer, University of Phoenix, all that jazz. Now that doesn't do you have a degree? If the job requires that you have a degree, do you have one, and can we verify it? If I can verify that you have a degree, you're good to go.
So do people get in trouble for saying they graduated and didn't?
Yes, absolutely. You falsified your application. Absolutely.
Okay.
So if the position requires that you have a degree and you told me you have one, and then I go back and I check and you don't, you no longer qualify for the position.
Well, where are you checking it?
So we actually get the transcripts. So when we do part of your background check, we actually contact the school and get your transcripts.
Okay.
And they'll verify whether or not you graduated.
Okay, good to know. Elephant Ed said Grant Cardone filmed his hiring and interview process as a reality show. He said the show allowed him to ask all sorts of questions that isn't usually allowed. Is that a real workaround?
No, that's not real.
Oh, okay. I mean, he was asking all kind of things. It was out of control.
Again, it's a reality TV show.
So could the interviews be construed as not real interviews?
Absolutely. Because there's no way he can ask certain questions. Okay. I mean, I haven't seen it, but anything that says reality TV,
it was wow.
No, because he could automatically be sued. So I guarantee you the contract writing that's in the background that you guys aren't seeing is saying that this is not,
not for a job.
This is not a real job. This is part of scripting, stuff like that. It's not real. That's just made for TV.
Big Willie, thank you for your $2.
I'm pretty sure it is.
We're gonna keep it moving. If you need her help, click the link. Put it in there for you guys. Schedule your calendar with her. Okay. Ruben asked some question we heard earlier. How do you handle gaps in your resume? I leave one job because a family member passed away and had to help out family. Do time gaps affect your hiring process?
It just depends. Like stated earlier, it depends on why you left. If you're helping a family member, someone that passed away, you can simply just state those things. You left a job and you decided to not go back because you're looking for new opportunities. That's another question I'll ask you. Well, if you left to take care of a family, why didn't you go back? And you're just like, well, I'm looking for new opportunities. You've learned new skills and you want to progress and move forward in your career. It just depends on how long it was for.
Stephanie. Stephanie,
It's not me.
it is you. It's you. What did I tell you? Tell her to turn off all the all the electronics. Now, you got 10 more minutes and you were messing it up.
Nobody on the internet. Look, all the other on the internet. It's not us. It is raining though. It is raining. Okay, it is raining, so I'll give it that much.
Okay. Do recruiters ever ask for a tax clearance letters? A recruiter reached out to me and said I had to submit a tax letter to company before submitting an app.
A tax clearance letter. What is? Are you in the financial? Okay, so let me clear. Yeah. When it comes to finance, so if you're working for any type of banking, any type of finance company, they can ask you when it comes to financials, because if you have a lot of debt, if they say they're going to run a credit check, if you have any type of debt, you're a liability, because you are more than likely going to sell their information because you're in need of money. So when it comes to the financial sector, they're able to ask a little bit of different questions because you're dealing with money, and that's a whole nother ballgame. So yes, they can't ask for that, because if you have any type of liens, defaults, things of that nature, liabilities, yes, they can't ask that. Even if you're in the military, in order for me to get my secret security clearance, I couldn't have debt. I couldn't have a debt like that. I couldn't have anything that would make me a liability, because I was in human resources. I had all of the information. I had access to it, and that's a setup for, I'm going to sell this information so I can make some money. So yes, they can ask that.
Listen, I had a friend who had back child support in the Army. They came and took that clearance.
They would, and
then
they'll take your clearance, and then they'll take your money on top of that.
They did. And then he had to go to a new unit. I said, "Well, where are they going to send you? Where are you going?" He was upset. I'll just tell you that.
That's the one thing the military don't play. They will take all that.
They're like, "Oh, you ain't paid $12,000? No worries. Let us help you." It said I had to submit tax forms for a job at Aetna. It was weird. Insurance, people's information.
It's insurance. Yes, ma'am. That's insurance. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, King Frederick, for the $5 super chat. He said the American economy can shrink 30%, and the U.S. will still be one of the wealthiest countries in the world in history. Yes, this is correct. This is correct. Period. Like, we can still have 120 million people working. Again, y'all heard my view on that one video. A lot of women are just going to go home. That's all.
I wish I could be one of them women. I could just.
Sorry. I mean, if you want to, you can. According to Kevin Samuels. They said definitely. They just gave out bonuses to top performers, hiring auditors, accountants, and customer service. She's talking about IRS, y'all. This is very correct.
Yep.
Michael asked, can they ask if you have a disability?
They can ask, do you need accommodations for a disability that you have? They can't ask, do you have a disability? They can ask, do you need accommodations for a disability? Because if you do, then they have to accommodate you. So that's what they can ask.
Right. In the UK, they send a separate HR form asking for your ethnicity and age. Apparently, it is not sent to the interview panel with your application. I think that's good.
America ain't gonna do that. I just want you to know.
I mean, we discriminate on names. I can't say it. I remember working somewhere and somebody said, I can't say your name, I ain't calling you back. And she said it just as clear as day. Just as clear. She's just a sweet Southern lady as possible, and said, if I can't say your name, I'm not going to call you. So, I mean, there's people breaking the law. But Ruben said, can you put courses like Udemy, Teachable on your resume and show that you're improving a skill? Is that considered unprofessional?
No, you can't, and you should put that up there, because
I'm getting ready to make some of my courses certificates so that people can.
Yes, absolutely. You should put that up there. That lets you know, for one, that you take initiative, that you're serious about whatever field that you're in, and you want to know more, you want to grow, and you took it upon yourself to take those courses. So yes, you absolutely should.
Ruben also said, thank you, Erica. I'm loving this session. You are low-key giving gems, good vibes. Thank you so much. Thank you, Stephanie, when your internet is working. Ozzy, thank you for the $10 super chat. Great show and guest. I'm an HR pro myself, so this show has been very informative.
Oh, thank you.
India said, thank you. I thought they were trying to scam me.
No, no, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Her job's over there trying to get credit cards in her name.
No.
No.
And if you feel some type of, if you have like your social security number or any of that type of information on there, you can always white or black that out. They don't need that. What they will essentially just need is your name and the address with that. But if it has any other type of information, you can always black that out because they don't need that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, we try to put on a good show. I try to put a laugh in here and there. And if you will, hit the like button. Thank you.
Right.
Here you go. Any opinions on how raises might work going into 2021 with all this virtual work?
So just because it's virtual doesn't mean
we ain't paying y'all nothing.
Erica ain't paying her people nothing. So just because it's virtual doesn't mean that, well, it doesn't mean that they should take away any type of raises or bonuses. But if your company was a company that said they're going to do a percentage cut, like 20, 25 or 30% of your salary in order to keep you on, the raise that you may see is for you to get that 20 or that 30% back. That's the raise you're going to see. But when it comes to virtual work, there's always workarounds on how in order to promote people to the next level. Because, you know, Erica, as you know, Erica hates remote work because she's like, y'all not doing no work while I ain't there. I'm watching y'all and I'm watching you.
Cameras in the office before I roll out.
Y'all not doing any work. So there's always a way to check to see how people's performance is. So for instance, you can compare their performance from when last year when they weren't virtually working to when they are, and those will coincide with each other. So there's always ways to work around, but they will certainly let you know. They'll still have performances, performance improvement plans, or they'll go over your yearly bonus or raise, however your company has it structured. They'll talk to you about it and they'll figure out ways on how you can still maintain it. But most of the people that are going to see raises next year is that they're just getting their money back. Not that they're going to get more.
Yeah. I mean, well, here's the thing too. And I think companies might pay people very, very little and then give bonuses. That's a lot of stuff. I'm sitting in some mastermind trainings. People are like, how can we give them incentive bonuses quarterly? I'll be very transparent. In trucking, I give a safety bonus for 9,000 miles with no accident. And they be counting. They be like, I don't know now.
And they will keep track. Just know when you put out these incentives and these bonuses, people will keep track of it because they want all of their money.
Girl, one time I paid somebody and then 2 weeks later they had an accident. I want to be like, give me my bonus back. Give it back right now. Okay, let me see. Answer some more questions and then I'll get you out of here because, you know, I know you have hot dates. But anyway,
not tonight.
I learned I need to keep my mouth shut and use professional when hiring or stick to overseas VAs. That's what you learned from this show. I'm glad.
We learned something.
We learned something. What do you think about 6 months contracts?
Versus relocating for a full-time position, pros and cons. It just depends on what you're looking for per se. As far as with your career, are you just looking for something because you like the company, you like the pay, and you're okay with 6 months working there? Is it 6 months contract? Is it temp to perm? So if you start on the contract, that's 6 months, and then after 6 months, they see how your performance is and they'll hire you on full time. It just depends. So let me tell you what I think about contract versus full time. There is the only difference between a contract job and a full-time job is if you are contract, they are able to let you go that same day and just pay you out. That's it. A full-time job, they're able to let you go that same day, but they'll give you a severance. That is the only difference between a contract and a full-time job. That is the only difference.
If it is a contract job, they will You said they will do what?
Oh, the difference between a contract job and a full-time job is if they let you go that same day, they just
Mm-hmm.
have to pay you for that, the time that you worked.
Okay.
Versus if you're a full-time job, if they let you go that same day, more than likely they give you a severance and you have like COBRA insurance, things of that nature. That's the only difference. There is truly no difference between a contract job and a full-time job. It's just how you're going to get paid out, because companies use contracts as a way is not to paying for insurance, not being liable for certain things, but your work is still the same. They're not going
Mm-hmm.
to ask you to do any type of different work on contract than they would full time. Some companies like to put it over your head that, if you come on full time, then, you'll have more responsibilities and things of that nature, because you may be the type of person, well, I need a full-time job. The difference between the two is, one, they'll cut you loose, they don't have to pay you. The other one, they cut you loose, they do have to pay you. That's essentially the only difference.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when people see contract, they get weary and they're like, oh my God, I could lose my job at any moment. You could lose your job at any moment with a full-time job.
For sure. Something I learned this year: if you fire somebody and they have their last paycheck, you have to pay them within 6 days here in Texas. Is that crazy?
Not. Why would you do it any longer
Well,
than that?
I'm just sharing it because I'm like learning something new. I'm like,
Oh,
I mean, do companies pay people the day they're fired, or do they pay them their last check, their regularly scheduled time?
it just depends. If contract, so contract people can get paid the very same day, because your
Mm-hmm.
contract, you can get paid the very same day.
Okay.
Usually they'll wait to the end of the week or the following week, wherever you were scheduled to get paid, to give you your final paycheck. But they could pay you the same day. Now, when it's severance, if you're a full-time person and you're going
Mm-hmm.
through a severance process, like for me, when I was going through my severance process with Delta, it was a list, because, I had to get my money, certain benefits, things of that nature had to be all laid out. So that took
Mm-hmm.
some time. Still got paid regularly and then got your severance. So severance can take some time.
Okay.
Usually no more than 30 days.
Note to self: don't put any severance in any package. Done.
If you're hiring do you have contractors or do you have full-time employees?
I have full time staff.
Okay, then you paying health benefits and everything else like that, right?
What? What?
Don't be
We're still getting a quote right now.
okay. Okay. Don't be like that one guy I ran into who didn't want to pay. He didn't want his employees were contractors because he didn't want to pay $1,500 a month for a workman's comp. I
Well,
was
North
like,
Carolina make you get workman's comp. That's why
I
I'm in Texas.
and he's in here in Georgia, and in Georgia, so
1099, baby.
I was just like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But go right ahead, sir. Go
Hey,
right ahead.
I can't judge that, man. How do I move from entry level positions?
Um, I don't. I have no idea where you're at. So, if you're currently at entry, how do you move from entry level positions? How long have you been in your current position?
Uh-huh.
What field are you in? It's a process. Mentor Shelly, she has a career strategy. I I kind of move away from certain things like that because it gets kind of in depth sometimes. I am
Mhm.
working with a couple people, but those are my special people. But she can walk you through on how to move from entry level to a higher position. It just depends. It's a whole strategy. You just don't move from one step to the next. It's a process.
Yeah, my friend basically had to get a job at another company and then came back and applied as a manager.
Yeah.
And then that's when they took him back. Someone said, should we sign up for LinkedIn Premier?
Premium,
Yeah.
not unless you're an HR professional yourself. Then no. It's only reason why people signed up for HR. Only reason why people signed up for LinkedIn Premier was because LinkedIn had made it seem as though you would get seen more and they'll push your application to the top if you pay for it. You don't need to pay for it, not unless you're a person that's actually doing the hiring or you have a small business. Then you would want to pay for LinkedIn Premier because that will give you more access to people to
Mm-hmm.
contact and to be able to reach out to them about your business. But No, don't pay for that. To pay for that a month, no. No, sir. Don't do that.
I'm an HR professional and currently building a company that applies for jobs on behalf of job seekers. What do you think?
So you're a headhunter?
That's what it sounds like. Joseph, give us a little bit more. I think that's what
Are
you
you
are.
a headhunter? I
Yeah.
mean, it's nothing wrong with that. The thing is just you just have to set up how you're getting paid. Are you getting paid, are the job seekers paying you, or are you getting a percentage off of their salary from the company? You just have
Ah,
to you just have to figure out, because most headhunters, what they do is they will usually get a percentage from the company,
mhm.
of your salary, of your yearly salary, versus you getting money from the job seeker, to look for a job for them. And I'm telling you right now, one reason why I don't do that, because they'll be a headache. Because if a job seeker is paying you money, they want a job and they want it right now.
Oh, for sure. I mean, well, I've seen people do it where the company pays them. So,
Yeah,
that's okay.
yeah, that's fine.
And this is the last one because we ain't trying to take up all night. But Stephanie, they said some jobs have you complete a personality or psychological test as
Mhm.
part of the application process. Should you answer the questions completely honest, or what you think they want to hear?
If you ever answered assessment tests, or behavioral tests, how completely honest, I guarantee you didn't get the job. Guarantee you did.
Listen, one time I said out, he's like, either you're a mad genius or a psycho. What?
You never answer it completely honest on how you like. Do you think that it's ethical to take the stapler from work? Now, is it ethical? No. Do we take it? Yes. I don't know a person in this world that hasn't taken a stapler, some notepads, pens, and everything from the supply closet. But that's not what they want to hear. So no, you answer it how they want, based on what the company is looking for, not what you
Really?
think. Yes,
So
absolutely.
is if I come into work and someone's printing paper for their child's homework assignment, is that fireable? I'm serious. Is that fireable? Let me know.
Um, you can write them up. Yes, you
Mm-hmm.
can write them up because they are using company supplies and equipment for their personal use. So
Wow.
you can write them up, but you need to put them on a performance plan. You need to put them on a PIP, performance improvement plan. You can't just
How much performance improvement do you know not to print up?
look, you can look. The first warning can be a final warning. You can
For
do
sure.
that, but you just got to give them a warning. You have to have a paper trail for yourself. So for companies, you got to have a paper trail for yourself. You got to do that.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
No,
All
you're
right,
fine.
so leave us with some parting words of wisdom. Anything you think we didn't cover that you think is vital or important, and where they can find you and how they can book time with you.
So, one thing you have to understand is that you are not alone. And with that being said, understand there are a lot of people that was in your boat, and do not get discouraged. I understand that people bills is piling up, they need to pay. Don't get discouraged and don't get desperate, because what's going to happen is you're going to take a job that you really don't like, but you felt like you just needed to take it,
Mm-hmm.
because not a lot of people are hiring. In your mind, you're thinking a lot of people aren't hiring, when that's not the case. And you don't want to go down that road, because you're going to end up back in the job market. So don't be desperate, and understand that you're not the only one. Don't get online making frustrating posts and bad mouthing companies and
What?
recruiters and saying I applied and I never heard from anybody. You have to realize you are one of hundreds that are applying. They are not going to be able to contact everybody, and they are not going to be able to give that type of candidate experience where you feel like, well, I applied, but at least I heard something. You're not going to hear
Mhm.
that. You're going to get a lot of just automatic rejection emails, because there's just so many people that are coming through. As far as with where you can find me, of course, you can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all SNS Consulting CO, where I talk about all these different things as far as how to help navigate you through finding a job and getting work with these companies through COVID-19. Now I am doing a special for Erica's Classy Climbers. I don't do this because I stopped doing resumes a long time ago. I stopped doing resumes and I stopped doing mock interviews, but I understand people need it. So I'm doing this special just for Classy Climbers for the month of September. It's only for this month. And I'm not redoing your resume. When I am doing it, I'm going over your resume. So I'll go over your resume. I'll highlight what needs to be improved and tell you what needs to be improved and send it back to you. Of course, I'm going to record all this through Zoom and send it to you for future references. So that is a special for the resumes. And also for mock interviews, I'm doing a special for that as well, where you send me your resume and then you send me the field or industry that you're in. And I will go over specific behavioral questions and star format questions for that particular industry that you may come across. Because when you interview nowadays, there are certain ways that you need to interview. And one of the main ways that we're interviewing is in a star format. And you need to know how to master that when going in interviews. Okay. And then we also have a special with Mentor Shelly, who's doing the career strategy, where she's walking you through beginning to end with that. And of course, you can always go on the website, snsconsultingco.com, or look me up on any social media platform with SNS Consulting CO.
Listen, y'all, we're going to let Stephanie redo my LinkedIn page.
bless my heart.
She's like, no, I didn't agree to that. But yes, we are going to let her do it. She can do it before and after.
Yes. And I also have a LinkedIn checklist for anybody as well, that if you sign up, I'll send you the LinkedIn checklist on how to improve your LinkedIn for free.
Is that it in this link, or do I have another link? You guys, go to her page, sign up for that free LinkedIn.
Yeah. Go if you sign up for any of the specials, that automatically I'll send that over to you as well.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Also, King, last one and we're out. King said, "Can a job make you take an IQ test?" Y'all come up with some funny stuff. Right.
Oh Lord. They can make you take any type of test that they feel is equivalent for the job that you're applying for. Yes.
Also, is there? Can I post a career strategy link? Hold on. Let me see if I have it in here. It's in the description. I think it's in the description.
Yeah.
Of the video. I had already put it up here. So click on those. Hit her up. Treat yourself. Thank you, Stephanie, for coming in.
You're welcome.
Answering the questions. We'll be back on, I think, in like a month. So we're going to talk about fourth quarter hiring.
Yes.
We're seeing our hiring and what do you think about it? So you guys look her out for probably about October because,
yeah. I also work with corporations as well. So I also work with startups, small businesses when it comes to HR services and talent acquisition, which is recruiting for companies that can't hire full HR departments. So I do that both. So.
Well, then we'll do another video about recruiting. So we'll do that now.
I got you.
A little separate. But all right, you guys, thank you guys for being here tonight. I hope you guys get to sign up again. Here's the link. The career path strategy link is in the description. Again, Mr. Shelley said, companies and recruiters look at social media. And we need to do a whole show. Y'all, I'm going to go ahead and make note now. Next week, we're going to do a show, and we're going to show the screenshots of people getting fired for posting stuff on social media.
I have done it before.
I've already decided. All right, I'll put that in the books. Anyway, all right, you guys. Thank you a lot. Have a good night.
Night, y'all.